Today's episode of Gold Star Stories is about love, service, and a system that can fail the very families who serve. I'm speaking with Karry Birnley about her husband, Petty Officer First Class Darrel Birnley, United States Navy. First a gunner's mate, later an operations specialist. Their story starts in ninth grade math class. A long-haired Florida kid, a pocket comb, and a friendship that became a life. Darrel was a stickler for safety on the range, a father, a husband, a man who did things the right way, even when it wasn't easy. I found Karry on TikTok because her home went into foreclosure without her knowledge. As someone who spent years in real estate, I wanted to understand how that happens. And as the host of this show, I wanted to give her space to tell the whole story. The knock on Mother's Day 2023, the paperwork gap that became a legal maze, and the way she's choosing to keep moving, what she calls beating the sadness. We say their names here. Today we say Darrel Birnley.
Marine Captain Brian Latendry died earlier this month in an explosion in Iraq. He was 27, a husband and father, and he was buried in Arlington National Cemetery, a few miles from where he grew up. As America observes Memorial Day,
I am directed by the President of the United States and the Commandant of the Marine Corps to inform you that today, 0530, your son was killed in action while in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom.
Not very many of us can accomplish our goals or our dreams, and he always knew where he wanted to go, and he did it.
A Gold Star family is one who has lost a loved one serving in the United States military. It's a distinction no family ever seeks, a bond shared through sacrifice, remembrance, and profound loss. I'm Nick Latendry, and I've been a Gold Star sibling for over 18 years. In those 18 years, I've learned that while ceremonies fade, medals are stored away, and life continues, the story doesn't end for the families left behind. This podcast is dedicated to remembering those who gave everything for their country and to telling the lesser-known stories, the quiet, powerful journeys of grief, strength, resilience, and hope that follows after the flags are folded and the crowds disperse. These are Gold Star Stories. If you don't mind, just telling me a little bit about Darrel, how you guys met, who he was as a person, and let's just start from there.
That goes back a long ways because we met as freshmen in high school. It was weird because both of us had messed up before high school and got held back. And then we did what we were supposed to do and got put where we were supposed to be. So we were kind of both late to the ninth grade. And he came into my math class and sat in front of me, and it kind of leaned down, and he had long hair, and it was on my desk, and it was fair game because it was on my desk. So I started playing with it because I'm a weirdo. And then he kind of sat up and turned around and looked at me. And then he pulled up the black combs that you can get at the barbershop. He had one in his pocket, and he just set it down on my desk and went back and slunk down. And I was like, okay. And that's how it started. He was born in Florida, grew up in Florida. Parents split, so his dad came up here. So he ended up here, and that's how we ended up at the same school.
So after high school and stuff, you guys dated from the time you were a freshman, or you just met then?
No, we were just friends. We were just close. Now, of course, it was the whole unrequited thing. I liked him, but he was busy. But that was okay because it was school. It wasn't like we were planning our lives right then. But I knew because of our friendship that because of his grandfather, he always wanted to join the Navy. That was something he always talked about. Now, he wanted to go Special Forces and SEALs because everybody wants to go Special Forces and SEALs. But he did join on the accelerated program, so he did try. It just didn't go that route. But yeah, I want to say he moved right before we became seniors and went to Paulding County High. And we didn't see each other for 3 years. And then out of the blue, I got a phone call from one of our friends, and I still don't know how he got my phone number. And he was like, there's somebody out here that you're going to want to see. And I was like, okay, who? And he started listing off these people. And I was like, whoa, because Darrel's name was in there. And I was like, back up. And he listed the one before it. And I was like, no, smart ass after that. And he's like, he said the one after it. And I was like, no, in between them. And he was like, oh, you mean Darrel? And I started screaming. And he was like, I guess that means you want to come out. And I was like, I do, but I don't know how to get there. He was like, go to our old high school and I'll have somebody come and pick you up. So our story is really funny. I called my friend who, back in the day, I don't know if you remember, there were Bosnian refugees. Well, some of them came here and they ended up at our school. And I was still friends with one of them, and I knew he'd be up in the middle of the night. So I asked him if he could take me to our old high school and drop me off so I could wait for my ride to go see Darrel. And he was like, yeah, of course. Came and got me. And then he drove back and forth so I wasn't sitting out there by myself because he didn't feel it was safe. And then I started hearing this noise. And it was a horrible noise. And I heard it for a long time. It just kept getting louder and louder. It's like 30 minutes I'm hearing this noise. And then all of a sudden, this crazy looking Pontiac with T-tops pulls into the parking lot of the school. And that was what the noise was coming from. And then the passenger door opened and Darrel was driving the car. So that's how we reunited. And that's pretty much how we started officially together. So, yeah.
So was he already in the Navy at that point?
No, he didn't join the Navy until after 9/11, and we had 2 kids already.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he went. I mean, we started a family, and, you know, he had gone to attempt. He actually went to the Marines first because it was kind of like a, you know, after being in school and all the people that we were with were always talking about the Marines. It was like, okay, I like the Navy because of my grandpa, but maybe I should try the Marines because, he's a man's man. But the Marines were like, no, because he had a tattoo on his neck.
Uh,
And they're like, absolutely not. We'd love to, but that's a fact. No, no. So he was like, okay. So he ended up doing odd jobs like parts store, security. He ended up at Loomis Fargo. And then they told him, once you get to a certain level, without police or military experience, you can't go any further. So we were struggling. Then 9/11 happened, and it was like, okay, he needed to try again. So he went to the Navy recruiter this time. And after he talked to them, he told them he had to get permission because I said from the start, after being a military family, I did not want to be a military spouse. I had dealt with all that stuff with my siblings and all of the things. I didn't want that life. But when he came home and was like, okay, look, this is what happened, I said, okay. So he went back the next day and he signed in and did all the things. And he ended up having to get 7 different leave dates because of the tattoo on his neck. The Navy had to do waivers 7 different times. I dropped him off at the recruiter station, cried my eyes out. He had to ask permission to come aboard the building. And then I would leave him there and then he'd come back. That 7th time, I did not cry. I was like, whatever, I'll see you tomorrow. And that was when they took him.
wow.
Yeah.
7 times.
Yeah. All because of the tattoo on his neck.
So let's go a little bit further into his career. So he joined the Navy, and what was his main job in the Navy? What did he do there?
He was a gunner's mate. When he joined, like I said, he started on the SEAL accelerated program, but you had to pick a rate that was a part of that. And gunner's mate, obviously weapons, was going to be a part of that. So he went for that. And SEAL did not happen. He didn't even get to go to try. It was like however many beds they had and whatever scores you had, the top ones got in and he didn't. So he stayed a gunner's mate, but he was a good gunner's mate. He ended up being the person that qualified everybody for their weapons before they deployed, which he loved because then he got to tell officers and whatnot what was what because he was a stickler. You had to do it right. He wasn't passing you just because of your rank. He got a name for being quite a hard ass for that, as a matter of fact, because he would go toe to toe with brass. He didn't care. If you weren't safe to shoot, you weren't getting qualified. That's it. His favorite thing was when the Marines, because every single time he had to qualify the Marines, they would set the field on fire. Every time, never fail. They would set it on fire. So that was a favorite. Here come the jawheads. They're gonna set shit on fire. But then let's see. We started up in Virginia. That's where he first got stationed at a bunch of different ships in Virginia. Then we went from there to Guantanamo Bay. And that was fun. It was difficult because we were landlocked, or not landlocked. We were surrounded by the water and couldn't leave without flying because we weren't allowed to go to regular Cuba. So you had to like military flight to Florida and then go wherever you wanted
So
to
you
go.
got to go to Guantanamo with him?
Yeah, whole family went.
That's so cool. I didn't realize they did that. My brother was stationed in Guantanamo for 6 months with the Marines, and obviously it was a short deployment, so he didn't get to take, his family with him or anything.
Oh yeah, all the branches are down there. See, what people don't seem to understand because the news doesn't talk about it. There's more than one base at Guantanamo Bay. There's the base that deals with the detainees, blah blah blah.
Mhm.
That's Camp America. Well, at least it was when we were down there. That's what it was called. And you cannot just go across into Camp America, even if you are a spouse and on the wrong bus accidentally. They will take you off the bus at gunpoint, make you stand at the checkpoint until the bus comes back, and then put you back on the bus at gunpoint, and then you can carry on to your way. So they are serious about Camp America, but that's not the main base. That base has only been there since, all the 9/11 yada yada stuff. The main base is for natural disasters and, for the hospital ships to come and refill their ships to help other people in other places. It's to help with the pirates because pirates are actually a real thing. It's to help with the drugs. It's literally there for all the things that people are complaining about, but we want to shut it down because they don't know the truth.
Yeah, I
They think
had
it's
no idea.
all one spot.
That's really interesting to me. So how long were you there?
3 years.
3 years. Wow,
Mhm.
that's really cool to me. So
Yeah,
that'd
it's a
be a
whole
heck of an
little city
experience.
there.
So
Yeah.
we're probably going off topic, but I'm curious now. So what did you do while you were there then? If you're not allowed to go to Cuba, is there a lot of other places to, like, explore and do stuff there, or were the kids bored, or
There were like 5 different beaches, and each one of them had different kinds of ground. Like, one of them had, like, the big rocks, that you can kinda climb on, and that was, the beach. One of them, it was like regular sand. One of them's like the sea glass, like, just a whole lot of sea glass. And one of them they called Girl Scout Beach, and let's face it, there was the party beach, and there's no telling what was on that ground. But lots of beaches, boat rentals because the water there, Caribbean blue is a thing, like, it's a real thing. You can be on a boat and look down and see sunken ships and think they're right there at the surface because it's so clear that it brings them up to the top. That's amazing. Snorkeling, I mean, they have diving classes and stuff down there so that you can get qualified to to scuba dive. There's an outdoor movie screen. So, like, at nighttime, there's one screen and there's like seats and then stadium seats behind the seats and one, maybe two movies a night, depending on what's happening and depending on the weather. But you always have to find the people with all the candles so that you can have that protection because the mosquitoes down there will pick you up and take you away.
I bet.
A little tiny bowling alley with like 3 lanes, bars. Definitely bars. And then an exchange/commissary, but because everything comes from Florida on a barge, there are always tags on the shelves that say it's on the barge. So the support store where you can get all like the Army, Navy, whatever shirts, they started making shirts that say, "Don't worry, it's on the barge," because people are always waiting for the stuff. And then the USO would bring a lot of people down, like Guy Fieri came down at one point, Filter came down at one point, Vertical Horizon came down at one point, like, people came down and, like, performed. Oh, and then some guys that were from a bunch of different famous bands came together and made something called Petty Cash, where they only played Tom Petty or Johnny Cash. So, that was fun, and the fireworks at the end of the year are unbeatable because, we were in the base space. They could set anything up. It was huge. So there were some things.
I'm sorry, that was
It was
such a
still hard.
such a diversion from our conversation. That's very interesting to me, so thank you for satisfying that.
Absolutely.
How old were your kids when you guys were stationed there?
Ooh, okay. Hold on. I have to think back now because they're all grown now.
Okay.
5, 7, and 8 when we got down, maybe. Somewhere, yeah, because elementary school and then middle school is when we went to Sicily, we went to California, and that was the start of high school, and then me and the kids came to Georgia. So, yeah.
Okay, so you guys have been to some cool places then.
Yeah, some. Sicily and Gitmo, obviously favorites. California was great until, the amount of taxes started coming in. Um, yeah, because we were able to say when you do overseas orders, you get more money. Like, that's why people take the orders to places like Guam, even though it's literally you can walk across it in like an hour. It's so small, but they get extra money. And because they don't actually get good pay, they want that extra money. So we were like, yes, we will take the family to Guantanamo Bay. Yes, we will go to Sicily. Sure. So, but then we went to California. And it took 1 year for it to take everything. So that's why me and the
Believe it.
kids aborted plan and came to Georgia and get ready for retirement.
Well, so let's go into more of what we're here to actually talk about.
All right.
So tell me a little bit about what happened, how you found out he died unexpectedly.
Hmm.
Were you with him, or did you get the news, like the knock at the door and stuff?
No, no, he was in California, still stationed in California, finishing up his end of service. Me and the kids were already in Georgia, getting the property ready and trying to, get everything for when he got out. So he had come home to visit to start prepping because he was going to be retiring in February of 2024. So early April of 2023, he came to visit and started doing stuff at the house, and everything was fine. Flew back, everything was fine. 3 weeks later, on Mother's Day, early in the morning, I see a van sitting like a Chester child molester white van just sitting in my driveway at 7 o'clock in the morning. And I started freaking out, like, who the heck? I'm back on a big plot of land. Nobody comes back here. What's going on? And I'm by myself now. My kids have already moved out and doing their things. So when I throw on clothes, I have galoshes on, and I was like, "Can I help you?" Rude, just because I'm a female by myself in the woods. And then they got out in the uniforms. And I'm going to cry now. I immediately lost it. Was like, absolutely not. Get the fuck back in your van and leave. Absolutely not. He was just here. This is not possible. Get back in your car. Go. And they just kept coming closer, saying they were sorry. They were sorry. Ma'am, we're sorry. And then they asked my name, and I was like, I'm not telling you my name. I don't want to hear what you have to say. So, what they told me was when I just kind of crumbled and they had no choice but to talk to me, was that he had passed the day before. But because I lived in the middle of nowhere in Georgia, they were afraid to come to my house in the middle of the night to tell me because I live in the middle of nowhere in Georgia and people get shot for doing stuff like that. And I'm like, you guys are the military and y'all thought it would be better to tell me on Mother's Day that my husband died? And maybe just chance the nighttime drive, because Mother's Day has been ruined forever. I will never celebrate Mother's Day again for the rest of my life. So it started off like that. Then I immediately called my closest kid who still lives in Georgia, and she had her roommates bring her over immediately. And that's where they told me all I know. And this is all I know. And I'll be honest, after getting his personal effects, it's all I want to know. But he was found unresponsive and didn't make it. I wasn't told where he was found, who found him, what he was doing. Again, I do not want to know at this point in time ever, because what is it going to do but cause me more problems or pain? I don't want it. But that's all I know. Um, that's yeah.
Wow.
So
So that
that's
was
how
it
I
was
was
totally
told.
unexpected for you, though. I mean, there was
Oh
no
yeah, he was
deployment, there was
just
no
no,
anything, there was no inclination that that was gonna be something that was
no. We had just talked the day before because I had gotten some crazy food with his grandmother that looked heart attack amazing. And he was giving me crap about it. He was like, all right, your health isn't that great with all the stuff that's gone on. So maybe you shouldn't eat that too often. And I was like, you're just jealous because you want it. He was like, maybe, and that was our last conversation was about that food because the next day he was dying somewhere.
Now, we've heard about Darrel the sailor, the husband, the friend with the comb, and the quiet integrity. Now, I want to talk about what happened after, the part most families never see coming. I first came across Karry because her house was listed for foreclosure while she was still trying to fix an escrow problem she wasn't even allowed to be told about. With my real estate background, I needed to know how that's possible and how other military families can protect themselves. Here's Karry.
Something people don't readily know. If you're not on the paperwork, they can't talk to you about anything at all. If the taxes go up, if the cost in itself goes up, if it goes down, like they can't tell you if you're paying enough or not. They can't tell you anything. Well, guess what happened? Things went up and I wasn't paying enough for 6 months in a row, but I didn't know it because they couldn't tell me anything. And because I didn't go to probate to settle his account and get everything put in my name because the military told me, no, you're good. There was a random knock on my door early in the morning, like 2 days before, which again, nobody comes back there. So it was weird. Early morning, I opened the door and it's just this strange man with a paper in his hand. And he was like, I know it's early and I'm so sorry, but would it be okay if I take pictures of your house before the sale? And I was like, what are you talking about? And he said, well, the sale at the end of the month, beginning of next month. I said, the house isn't for sale. He said, well, it's on the foreclosure list. Pardon my French. I said, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, it's online. It's public record. It's on the foreclosure list. I was like, oh shit. And I was like, do what you got to do, but it's not for sale. Shut the door in his face and then booked it inside. That is when I called my Gold Star representative and she told me she couldn't help me. And then I called the VA loan guy to find out what was going on. He contacted PennyMac, and because they couldn't talk to me, he said that they were trying to get in touch with me. And I was like, that's not true. I haven't gotten anything. And he was like, they've been calling my husband, who passed away 2 years ago, that they know because I sent them the death certificate. They were calling his cell phone. Yeah. So obviously I'm not going to get it. And I'm like, okay, why would they be calling somebody they know isn't alive to let me know? Why didn't they send something to the house that they know I live at, but they didn't, right? I did get something that said contact your VA loan person, but I was like, okay, but they didn't tell me what I needed to contact them about. So when I called, they were like, yeah, we have no idea. So I was like, okay, cool. Disregard, because they can't tell me anything. They can't tell me why I need to contact my VA loan person because I wasn't on the deed. So the paperwork that the VA loan tech gets to reinstate the loan had 2 different dates and 2 different amounts. If I was able to get it in by the 22nd, it was this amount. If I wasn't able to get it in until the 25th, it was this amount. As long as I got it in by the 27th, reinstated, and we were good to go. It's like, okay, done deal. I got the paperwork on the 24th, which was a Sunday. I went the very next day. First, I called PennyMac and spoke to a lady, and I was like, I know you can't tell me anything, but I am calling to let you know that I am on my way right now to go send the wire transfer to get this reinstated. And she kind of did tell me one thing. I hadn't paid attention to the 2 amounts. I just saw the 1 amount and the 2 dates. So I was going to get the lower amount. My brain was like, yeah, it's that one. She was like, no, it's the other one. I was like, awesome. You just saved me some trouble because it wouldn't have gone through and I would have been screwed. So I was celebrating, went immediately, drove an hour to the bank, did the paperwork, verified the paperwork with the bank lady, then showed her my paperwork that came from PennyMac so that she could double verify that we put the right information on the form. She was like, yep, it's right to me. So both of us verified it. She sent it off. The printout came for me to have the confirmation number and everything. She gave me that. I messaged the VA loan guy and told him that I had done it. He said, all right, we should be good to go. We just have to wait for them to confirm it, and I'll let you know when we have something. Okay, cool. So when he said it's good to go, my brain, because of all the stuff going on already, was like, all right, breathe. It's done. You've dealt with it. The box is checked. You can go to your convention. Dragon Con will be great. Have a great time. You fixed the problem. I did not fix the problem because they didn't take the money. The money was still sitting there Friday. So while I'm at Dragon Con, I sent an email to the loan tech guy saying, hey, I don't know what's happening, but it's past the 27th and the money is still sitting in my account. I don't understand what's going on. Please advise. Didn't hear anything back from him. So I was like, okay. I go, I finished Dragon Con. Monday. Well, no, it was Tuesday because I came home on Tuesday. Tuesday, I sent him another message. I hadn't heard back from you. The money is still sitting in my account. It's Tuesday, this date. I don't know what to do. Please advise. I didn't get any response. Wednesday, so the very next day, my kids start calling me because they're getting contacted by these people saying that the sale happened and there was money left over and it's supposed to be collected by the next of kin of the person that had the house previous, which would be my kids. I'm like, wait, they were like, the sale wasn't supposed to go through. Mom said she fixed it. So they start calling me independently, freaking out. And I have to go back to my gold star person and be like, okay, what do I do? And she was like, you keep calling until you get somebody. If you can't get your guy, you keep calling and don't put in the number. Just get a person and then talk to them so that they can get you someone. So we did that, and I went back and forth with a couple of people. They finally got me through to him, and he was like, Penny Mac now knows of the situation, and they are researching what happened. That was Thursday of last week. Friday, I got nothing. No emails, no phone calls, no nothing from anybody. And yet I was contacting repeatedly, leaving voicemails with the VA tech guy, sending emails to the tech guy, blind carbon copying my gold star person so that she saw that I was trying to do all I could. At the same time, all of my kids had gone independently to get the probate paper that they have to have notarized so that I can go to probate court. They were all getting that done. I now, as of yesterday, have all of those papers, so I can go. But yeah, they went ahead with the foreclosure sale even after I submitted the funds. They never took the funds. And so I went back and I got not only the paper I filled out by hand for the wire transfer, I got a copy of that. But I also got the printout their machine does with all the technical stuff. I got a copy of that too. So I got the printout from the day I did it. And then I got the two showing that I wrote it out and that the machine took it. And the money has been sitting in my account the whole time. And that's where we are today. So I don't know if when I go home tonight, if they're going to have it blocked off. I don't know if my stuff's going to get put out or taken somewhere. I have no idea.
Well,
I'm going on hope.
from my perspective, obviously I was never licensed in Georgia, but for the most part, real estate law in general, you are safe if you've established residency somewhere, which you have. They have to
Okay.
formally evict you.
Okay.
So they can't just put you out. They can't lock you out. They can't move your stuff out. They got to
Okay.
evict you, and then you got to go through a court process in order for that to happen. So,
Well, thank you for that little bit of peace.
yeah,
Because
I
I
heard
have
you say that
literally
yesterday on
cried every
TikTok.
time I leave my house. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard you say that yesterday on TikTok, and I was like, I make sure I'll bring that up to her. Again, I'm not licensed anymore. I was a property manager in Tennessee, as a real estate agent in Virginia. There's protections in place, so there's
Okay.
no way that you're just going to show back up and have your stuff kicked out without a formal you being served. They can't just do that. So,
Okay.
uh,
Like, cry for happy news. I like it. I'll
um,
take happy tears.
again, it's not legal advice because I'm not licensed anymore, and I've never been licensed in Georgia.
Still, it's
But
more hope than I had before we started talking.
well, I'm glad I could at least give you a little bit of peace of mind there. There's a very common practice with people that purchase foreclosures and stuff. What they'll end up trying to do is come to your house and offer you cash for keys, because they want you to leave without having to go through that whole legal process, because it ends up being a lot more expensive for them and time consuming and all that kind of stuff to
They
evict
are
you.
in for a fight with me.
And what ends up And as well, they should be. What ends up happening a lot of the time is the people that are getting evicted will end up destroying the house.
Oh.
So what they try to do is offer you cash for keys in exchange for a peaceful exit. So expect something like that to possibly happen, somebody coming to knock on your door before they get it figured out. That's a very common
Okay.
tactic with investors that purchase these types of things. They'll be like, "Hey, if you get out by the end of this month, we'll give you $5,000. If you can get out by the end of the next month, we'll give you 2,000, something like that."
Mhm. Right.
Again,
No,
not
we are
legal
not.
advice, just my experience, but don't be shocked if something like that happens. But
Okay.
that should also be more peace of mind for you to know that they're not just gonna come and, you know, take your shit, and kick
Yeah,
you out.
absolutely.
So when he purchased the property, you were not on the loan and your name was not on the title at all for the house?
Nope. No, the only place I signed, well, because again, he was in California when we got the house. I did everything through a temporary power of attorney. So my signature is on everything, but power of attorney in fact, and then his name, because well, I don't know if you know, but with real estate, with all the closings, you might know. If you are military and like say your spouse is deployed or whatever, you can get a temporary power of attorney to be able to get a house or sell a house,
Yep,
but every single page he would have to sign or initial, I had to sign power of attorney. I couldn't even abbreviate. It had to
yep.
be power of attorney. In fact, my name and then his name on every single freaking so many pages. So many pages. So my name's everywhere, but it's for him. So yeah.
I'm just shocked they didn't have you on the title at all, because typically even when you're married, they try to have you hold jointly in case of something like this happening. And I know that you were talking about, the tax break and stuff that you can get, but I've never even that to me almost wouldn't even be worth the trade-off there of
Well, that's the thing. Keep in mind, when people join the military, they're young and they
Mhm.
don't know about real life bills and things along those lines. So when they're offered extra for this or that, or they're told you won't have to pay because of this or that, then you're going to go those avenues because you're not making a lot.
But there's
You're
so many
having to
professionals that you had to have come across during the purchase of the house that should have caught it and been there to protect you, and that's what pisses me
Nobody
off.
cares about protecting us. Oh, well, I say nobody loosely. I mean, nobody we've interacted with. Our entire journey with the military and after has definitely been the exception, not the rule. The amount of times I'm told, "Wow, that is not the way it normally goes." I have less hair on my head than times I've been told that, and I get it. I get it. Everything has been sucky. My kid yesterday was like, "More bad news." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." I mean, because it's just been one crappy thing after another. Like, I could probably write my own book on the what not to do's and to what questions to ask because of all the ways that we were lied to and screwed over throughout his career, including his force cross rating. Like he had been selected for chief as a gunner's mate. And during the selectee process, they cross rated him to an operational specialist, making him zero time in rate, guaranteeing him never making chief. You see what I'm saying? Like, the military likes to sabotage people. It's just what they do. Unless you're an officer or a higher enlisted, and unless you toe certain lines, you're not going to continue your career. They're going to do what they can to get you in there, get you injured, and get you out because they don't want you to retire so they don't have to pay you.
So, advice moving forward for anybody else obviously going through your situation is
Have your name on everything.
yes.
Have your name on everything because that's why I have to go to probate court. Because if I was on there, I wouldn't have to go to probate court because I was already on there. But since I wasn't, that's why I have to go to probate court.
And that may
So
have been the
first and
confusion on
foremost,
he
sign everything.
that may have been the confusion from the person that gave you the advice not to go, because if your name was on it,
Maybe.
it would have just transferred automatically and it wouldn't have been an issue. But it just seems like people have dropped the ball on you a lot, and I'm sorry that
Yeah.
you've had to go through all that.
My philosophy, or not even philosophy, my guess is my joking guess. I was like, I'll be 47 this year. I think once I hit 50, since I've had so much bad, I think once I get to 50, that'll be my line, and then it'll be just good. Good for the rest of the time. I just got all
I
the bad out of the way the first half.
I hope you don't have to wait another few years to get the good. That's still a long
I
time.
mean, here's the thing, for my own mental health after my husband died, because I'm by myself in the middle of nowhere. I had already started doing this for my bestie because she was blind. Depression hits people when, things hit you and change your abilities. So, but when my husband died, it was like, okay, well, now we have to do the both of us, because it's not just her that needs to keep moving forward, it's me too. So I started doing what I call the Beating the Sadness series. You'll see that on my TikTok a lot. I go to concerts, I go to conventions, I go to comedy shows. I have given myself stuff to look forward to every month, because if I don't, I will fade, because I'm broken. I'm working on it. But while I'm working on it, I need stuff to look forward to. That would be another bit of advice for anybody that has this kind of tragedy. If you're alone, make yourself do things. Find things to look forward to, because it keeps you from getting sucked in to your sadness. And that's what causes us to lose people, is because they just get so lost in their sadness and their pain that they can't find their way out. So tonight, I'm going to a Nine Inch Nails concert. It's the first time I've ever gotten to see them live. Trent Reznor was on my locker in school while I was with Darrel. You see what I'm saying?
That's awesome.
So I take him with me every place I go, with all the different things I've done. All the folks that I meet that meant something to him, I tell them about him. Um, Hell, David Boreanaz, I didn't know that I only know him from Angel, but he apparently has a military show that he's done. And he trained with real military people because he didn't want it to be bullshit. And when I told him about my husband, he was like, "You need to talk to this foundation immediately and tell them I sent you." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, like David Boreanaz?" So that stuff to move forward, stuff to look forward to, happy stuff. That is very important. That is something else that I would definitely make a rule. Find happy.
Karry, thank you for your honesty and your strength in sharing both Darrel's story and your own. It takes courage to speak so candidly about love, loss, and the painful realities that families like yours face long after the uniform is folded. We hope that by telling your story here, you not only honor Darrel's life, but also shine a light on the gaps in the system that no Gold Star family should ever have to navigate alone. Our deepest wish is that you find the support you need and deserve to bring resolution to this foreclosure battle, and that your journey forward is met with more peace than struggle. Now, as we always do, let's raise a glass in honor of Petty Officer First Class Darrel Birnley. To Darrel, a sailor, a husband, a father, and a man who lived with honor and integrity. His story reminds us that service is more than a uniform, it's the way you carry yourself every single day. And to Karry, who has shown us what resilience looks like in the face of heartbreak, in the face of injustice, she still chooses to seek joy, to create moments worth living, and to keep moving forward. That courage is a beacon for every one of us. So here's to love, to strength, to finding happy even in the darkest times. Say their name: Petty Officer First Class Darrel Birnley. A special thank you to our Gold Star Story supporters: Terry Mullins, Danielle Metal, Jackie Mullins, June Latindry, Edie Howard, Bob and Pat Scott, Mary Jo Stoy, Helen Krupp, Georgia Franco, Jess Miller, and Aaron Peck. You can support our work by purchasing wearable merchandise from our bonfire shop, or by donating at goldstarStoriesUSA.com, or buymeacoffee.com/goldstarstories. If you'd like your name mentioned at the end of an episode, donating through Buy Me a Coffee is the way to do it. Every bit helps us keep the mic on for families like Karry's. Until next time, look after your people.